But again, I just want to thank you for joining us for the NJ Real Estate Show. I am your host, Antonia Roman. And this morning we're going to do things a little bit differently. We will not be having a feature home today. If you want to see the feature home for today, you're going to have to go to the WordPress. .com. You're going to have to go to the YouTube channel.com, or you're going to have to see it, on my Remax website. Well, the show is now, as you know, an hour show, and I am so excited. Who would know that I would start off with a 15-minute show and end up with an hour show? I just think it's wonderful. And why is that? Because we want to give you as much valuable information as possible. So, now I'm going to share with you one of the emails that came into me this week. And I appreciate your emails because, as I've always said, we want to hear your story. We really want to know what is going on with you. The story this week comes from a young lady by the name of Heather. And, you know, I tell you, as I read these emails, I really am disheartened when I read these stories because I just say to myself, wow, how could this be happening to the average person like you and I? But it does happen, folks. Things happen all the time. And I'm going to share this person's story. Now, this person is not a homeowner. They are not in the middle of a foreclosure. This person is actually a tenant. She was a tenant in a property, okay, and she'd been living in the property for about 2 years, and unfortunately, the landlord this past year was not able to make his mortgage payments, although she was making her rent payments to the landlord. She was paying, how much was she paying? She was paying $1,000 a month to the landlord. Uh, and of course, the landlord's responsibility from the money he's receiving from that tenant is to pay his mortgage off. Okay, that's why landlords have tenants, to help offset the cost of a mortgage loan that they have to pay on a monthly basis. Whether it be that, the tenant's amount that they pay covers the entire mortgage or not, it is their responsibility. It is the homeowners and the landlord's responsibility to pay that mortgage. Well, unfortunately, in her case, he was not paying off on a monthly basis his mortgage, and he defaulted on the mortgage. He went through a foreclosure process. He was nowhere to be found, the landlord. She was calling the landlord because she noticed that now, there were some letters coming to the house where she was renting, and she noticed that these were letters from the bank, and then she noticed there were letters from a lawyer, and it was not a good situation. So she took it upon herself, and I'll have you know, even though we do have laws out there that protects you from opening up other people's mail. Okay, you have to be very careful about that. But this tenant took it upon herself to open up these letters. And in opening up the letters, of course, she read the information that was on the letter, and found out that they were getting ready to foreclose on this house. The landlord had not made a payment for a while. They were asking him to pay his debt in full, and she became very concerned because she's like, wait a minute, I'm paying my rent every month to the landlord. I make the check out and I mail it to him wherever he lives. I'm not going to say where he lives, but he doesn't live nearby, he lives away, because there's a lot of landlords who have property in one state or another state and have tenants. So she said to herself, wait a minute, I have to do something. So of course she tried calling the bank, but the bank would not talk to her because she was not the homeowner. She was not the person on that loan. So for confidentiality reasons, the bank would not give her the information. But unfortunately, just to make her story a little bit short, next thing somebody's, there's a realtor coming to her house and saying, give me your keys for cash. And, like, she's like, keys for cash? Basically, they were asking her, give us the keys, we'll pay you to get out. Well, she couldn't just get her stuff and get out. I mean, she had to have a plan. She had to have another place to be able to live. But her question was primarily, I've been sending my payments to this landlord. Where did that money go? She couldn't get in touch with the landlord. He was nowhere to be found. And finally, when there was another gentleman who came to the property, and he looked at the property and found out, and he came to do an evaluation, apparently for the bank to see what the value was. She asked him, and he said, "Well, they're getting ready to foreclose on this house, and you're probably only gonna have a few weeks before you have to go." Well, what ends up happening? What ends up happening is she gets a notice now. She's only got 30 days to get out of the property. And, you know, um, 30 days came and went, and she was still there. And then eventually, she was evicted from there. Although she was paying her rent every month. Now, this is happening to a lot of people. There's a lot of tenants out there that are suffering with something like this because if the landlord is not paying the mortgage on a monthly basis and the property ends up going to a foreclosure, okay, the tenant is now stuck because the tenant's been paying and they don't know where the money went, and now they have to go elsewhere. What I wanted to let you know, if you're a tenant out there who's renting and you're in this situation where you know that your landlord is nowhere to be found, your landlord has been accepting your payments, okay? There are some laws in place. Look into the state. In the state of New Jersey, there's some laws. I'm in the state of New Jersey, and there is, what's called a truth and renting book for landlords and tenants. And you can look at that book and get valuable information about your rights as a tenant when it comes to renting a property. And how quickly can someone evict you? How many days do they give you time to do that? When something goes into court with foreclosures, um, usually they'll give the tenant a little bit more time. So really know the laws in your state. Look it up. You can always Google it. Tenant and landlord rights in your state. Look it up and find out. What are some of the rules and regulations? Because remember, you're a tenant. You have rights. Okay, you don't own the property, but you have rights. Okay, you've been paying your monthly rent on time. You're a good tenant, and all of a sudden this happens. This is something that you did not expect. So just beware, tenants. Okay, you do have the law on your side. Just look it up, look up your homework, and remember, if somebody just comes up to you, you're a tenant, and someone just knocks on your door and says, "Hey, you gotta go." Well, no, you say, "Wait a second, I'm not going anywhere because there's rules and regulations, there's laws for tenants, and I have 30 days, I have 60 days, whatever it is, you know." And right now, if you're a tenant and you know that your landlord is in this situation and you can't get in touch with that landlord, well, start preparing yourself because I'm giving you a heads up. This is what's happening out there. And just like I mentioned in the last show, if they're going to do all these foreclosures and there's tenants in these properties, this is now going to become a trend. So know what the law is in your state. Be prepared. And again, if you have to look for a place, start to look for a place. Now, this is a reminder, folks. Today is election day. Remember, you have to go to the polls and place your vote. Depending what district you're in, what state you're in, you have to vote today for congressional leaders. Very, very important. I'll have you know that I've had the opportunity within the last month to meet with both, actually two of the candidates that are actually running for Congress. Um, Actually, this within my district here in New Jersey, South New Jersey, and I've had the opportunity to meet with both John Runyon, and I've had the opportunity to meet with Congressman John Adler. And I have to tell you, they both have some very interesting views and opinions and ideas of what they want to continuously do once they get back into Congress, or if the new candidate gets into Congress. And I'll have a lot of the decisions that are going to be made based on your vote today, which is very, very important. It's really going to determine what's going to happen with the housing industry and with the real estate industry, actually. We have candidates that are, we have one candidate, John Runyon, who has, he's looking to help the economy. He has his opinions of his things of how he wants to help the economy and the housing, market. And then we have John Adler, who has done various things also with the housing industry and has helped the National Association of Realtors with implementing some, good rules and bills, I believe, that have been passed. So in my district, of like I was saying, they both have these two candidates that I've been able to, the congressman and the candidate I've been able to personally meet and get to know. Um, they have great ideas. So, I've already gone to the polls. I've already placed my vote very early this morning. The polls, depending where you're at, are going to be open very late. So go during your lunch, go during your break, go after work, but make sure you go and place your vote because your vote does count. Now, what we're gonna do, I just kind of recapping a little bit here about what I just spoke before we went to a commercial, was if you're a tenant, you've been paying your rent, you have been paying it on time, your landlord has not been paying the mortgage, all of a sudden the house is being foreclosed, you're being told you have to leave, you're a tenant, you have rights. Look in your district, look into your state, look at the rules and regulations and the laws that are implemented that have to do with tenant and landlord rights. Remember, not just anybody can throw you out in the street. You have days in advance that you need to be given, whether it's 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, depending on your state and the law. Look into it. But if you know that you're in that situation, you're a tenant, the landlord has not paid or you can't get in touch with the landlord, he's like missing in action, whatever the case might be, remember you do have the opportunity to stay in that property and do what you have to do according to the law that's implemented in that state. So look it up, Google it up, see what the rules and regulations are. Okay, as I promised, we're going to have our expert speaker with us on the show today. Unfortunately, she was not able to join us in the studio. She is got tied up. Hey, you know what? When you're in the business like I am, you're always running and doing things. Well, she's actually going to be speaking with us through telephone, a line, giving us the valuable information that we need. And she will be joining us on the show very shortly. And I can't wait because this has to do about mortgage loans. Basically, we're going to find out today what it is that you need to do to be able to get a mortgage loan. And as I mentioned to you in the earlier shows, um, getting a mortgage loan is not an easy thing. You really have to have all your ducks in order. So I just wanted to remind you also that the end of the year is coming. And if you are a homeowner who has done improvements on their house, and what I mean by improvements are, you've put in new windows, you may have done new siding, you may have done a new roof, okay, you may have put an addition on the property, you may have added some solar panels for electrical savings, energy savings, you may have done something really a major renovation to your home. I want to remind you that you cannot forget about the stimulus packages that have been implemented by Obama this past year and a half in reference to improvements with your home. So if you're a homeowner and you've done some improvements, make sure you get your receipts ready, okay? Because when tax season comes next year, you want to make sure you give all that information to your accountant so you can get the tax credit that you're entitled to when it comes to that improvement. Okay, I myself know, this year if all goes well, I'm getting my windows redone, and the contractor that I'm working with right now was very kind and said to me, I'm going to make sure that you have all the proper paperwork in order for you to be able to give it to your accountant so you can get the tax credit. So if you're a homeowner and you have made a major improvement this past year on your home, look up the bill, Google it up, stimulus package, home improvement, what Obama has, put in place, and check it out and see, if you fall into the line of those categories. Because, hey, we can all use a major tax credit. So start getting that paperwork in order. If you have not received a copy or anything that you need, the bill or whatever it is, your receipt from the contractor, you overlooked it, make sure you contact the contractor and say, hey, can you please give me a copy